season of the Witch is here, and we're almost into its second week, and our dear friend Eris has decided to become the Hive God of Vengeance, claiming us as her acolytes. But as Titans, we can become something more. As Titans, we can become her Warpreist, and we're gonna go over that in today's video. But of course, like, comment, and subscribe as it helps me out a ton. And let's have a quick word from our sponsor. For this build, we're actually going to first take a look at the new Strand Titan aspect Banner of War, defeating a target with a melee attack finisher or sword to raise a Banner of War that pulses with energy, periodically healing nearby allies and increasing melee and sword damage. Targets defeated by you and nearby allies charge the banner, increasing the speed of its pulses. This aspect is amazing, as it grants you and your allies health as it pulses. I believe this is around 45 health, the same as the Precious Scars exotic, but I'm not 100% sure, so don't take that in all honesty. On one stack, it pulses once every 2.5 seconds, taking off about half a second up to 4 stacks, where it's going to pulse once every second. As for the melee bonus damage, it's right around 40%. Of course, as most things in this game, there's always some rounding. So to make this even better and to play into the melee part of this particular aspect, we're also going to take the exotic arm Synthoceps, which comes with the exotic trait Biotic Enhancements. Increase melee lunge range and improve melee and super damage when you are surrounded. This trait is very simple and very strong, giving you 50% damage bonus to your supers and glaive melees, and an additional 100% to your melee damage when you have the Bionic Enhancements buff, which lasts for 8 seconds after being surrounded by 3 or more enemies. Because of this, we have a few good options to pair with this build. Swords are an obvious choice due to War Banner activating from them and them getting boosted in damage. Glaives are another really solid option due to them being both boosted by War Banner and Synthoceps, and their melee attack can also activate the War Banner. And finally, the thing that I've been using the most with this build would be Monte Carlo. It's a no-brainer just for the fact of it being a melee-based build. If you're unfamiliar with Monte Carlo, it gives you melee energy every time you deal damage, has a chance to grant you a full charge when you defeat a target, and gives you bonus damage when you get melee kills. Now this is made even better by the introduction of Monte Carlo's Catalyst this season, which now allows us to finally use the bayonet on the front of the gun as an actual weapon. The Catalyst does some pretty good damage at right around 57,000 damage per usage, and that is boosted by both War Banner and Synthoceps to 240,000, which is an increase of roughly over 300%, and when that is compared to our base melee of around 10,000, that is an increase of over 2,000%, meaning we can hit very hard with what is essentially just a primary weapon. And the Catalyst can also proc off itself, so if you get a bayonet kill, you can then hold your reload function or whatever button you have it set to, and it will automatically recharge the bayonet for you to go in for another stab, dealing again more damage. And I've also noticed that on red bars and minors, you can hit up to 660,000 damage, which is absolutely insane. But that is just on red bars. All of my damage testing was done on Carl, the Nessus Cabal Lost Sector boss, whatever you want to call him, because that's where everybody goes to do damage testing. That's where I went to do damage testing, so my numbers should be pretty accurate compared to other people's testing as well. For our subclass, we already went over the Banner of War aspect, and our other aspect for this build is going to be Flechette Storm. While sliding, activate your charged melee ability to leap into the air, knocking nearby targets away and dealing damage. While airborne, activate your charged melee again to launch a cluster of damaging, unraveling projectiles. Repeatedly activating melee will chain additional throws. This aspect is a ton of fun and allows you to get a ranged melee feat to activate our War Banner, and this is going to be really helpful in high-end content when we don't want to be up on people or up on our targets or whatever you want to do with it. And it is also going to get the benefits from War Banner and Synthoceps if you have Biotic Enhancement active. If you don't want to run Flechette Storm, another really good option for this is Into the Fray. So when you destroy a Tangle, you are going to get Woven Mail, which is a great thing to have as it is a 60% damage reduction. I just prefer Flechette Storm to play into the melee part of this build. For Fragments, we're going to take Thread of Continuity to have our Strand debuffs last longer, considering we have ways to activate all of them. Sever from our normal melee, Unraveling from our Flechette Storm, and Suspending from our Grenade. This is going to make them all last longer, which is a huge benefit. Thread of Wisdom to help with orb creation when we do defeat a target that is suspended, as orb creation is a huge part of any build and is going to play a huge part in ours when we go over our armor mods. Thread of Warding, so this way when we pick up an orb, we get Woven Mail to give us that 60% damage reduction. Even if you're using Into the Fray, I highly recommend this fragment, as it is going to help you out a lot, and it's going to refresh every time you pick up an orb. And finally, we have Thread of Isolation. So this way our weapons are also going to sever targets. That is going to reduce their outgoing damage, and that is also going to have an increased duration because of Thread of Continuity. All these fragments play a huge part, and they all play very well into the idea of this build. And since you're using Monte Carlo, we don't need Thread of Fury. If you're not running Monte Carlo, you can definitely throw in Thread of Fury in place of Thread of Isolation. For our artifact, I still don't have it fully unlocked yet, but I already have it fully planned out for this build. We're going to start with Solar Strand Siphon combo mod. You can honestly use the Arc or Void one depending on your weapon choice. Then Atonic Tangles, Strand weapon final blows have a chance to generate a tangle, helpful if you're running a Strand heavy. Elemental Fury, stunned champs take more damage from abilities or elemental orbs. This is huge for Flechette Storm. You're going to absolutely just make very quick work of any stunned champion. Communal pickups. When somebody picks up or shoots our tangles, the cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds and we gain bonus damage for 10 seconds. With hunters running around picking up and shooting every tangle they can see for their whirling maelstrom, this is going to help if we are running a Strand heavy, like for example the new rocket launcher or even a Strand sword. Refreshing pickups. Picking up a tangle is going to give us energy to our least charged ability. Again, if we have like low barricade energy or low grenade, just go and pick up a tangle. You're going to get a little bit of energy back to that. Elemental munitions. Our tangles are going to have a chance to make special or heavy ammo. Again, a nice little bonus to make usage of the tangles we are creating. And frenzied stacks. When we have armor charge, our tangles do more damage. Again, really nice for those extra tangles. These all play heavily into our entire setup, as do our armor mods. So starting with our helmet, we have Kinetic Siphon for orbs off of Monte Carlo, Hands On for bonus super energy from our melee, and I took Powerful Friends to help out my team and to fill in that just random one leftover energy I had. On arms, we have Heavy Handed for orbs off of our melee, and Grenade Kickstart to help our grenades and allow us to throw more of them, suspending more targets. We don't need melee Kickstart here, as Monte Carlo is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to our melee. For our chest, we have our standard charged up for more stacks of armor charge and our resist mods. Legs, we have stacks on stacks, so one orb counts as 2 for our armor charge, as well as innervation and invigoration to help with ability energy. If you feel like you don't need help with your ability energy, you can always swap in Better Already to help with your health regen. And finally, on our mark, we have Reaper for more orbs off our barricade, Powerful Attractor to pull those orbs to us, and we have Outreach in case we need to top off our melee. Honestly, after playing with this more, after I have written out this whole script and done a lot of playtesting, Bomber is better here for just more grenade. Again, we don't really need a lot of melee energy because of Monte Carlo, and that's going to be the same for our stats. Going to want to prioritize resilience for the damage reduction, as yes, it does stack with Woven Mail, and Discipline for grenades, because again, as we are running Monte Carlo, our strength doesn't really matter too much because we're getting the bulk of our melee energy back from Monte Carlo. All in all, I believe this build is actually really strong with the combination of Synthoceps. There are a ton of other exotics you can use. If you want to play more into swords, you can obviously run Strongholds. If you want to play more into just the overall ability regeneration, you can obviously run Heart of Inmost Light. Both of those are also really good strong options for this build. I just found it more enjoyable with Synthoceps, as Synthoceps is just a get surrounded and start punching things type of melee. But with that, that is the end of our video, so I hope you all enjoyed it. You can use this build for your day one Crota experience, or really your weekend Crota experience now. So like, comment, and subscribe if you want to keep sticking around to watch more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next video.